Welcome to the St. Louis Syndicate. I'm Nate. He's Brandon, and we are back this week to talk college, pro, and survivor. Hopefully, you guys have all been doing well. Brandon, anything exciting happening on the college front you want to touch on?
Oh, I think the most impressive thing was watching Northwestern go go into Happy Valley
Oh, yeah.
and run a coach off his own field. Can you think of another time where we just had a potential national champion
Right.
just skid for 3 weeks and then go and we're just going to let the coach go?
Oh, I think there's probably some history there that he, he hasn't been able to get the big game won or completed. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird, like, they were even after the game, or I don't know if they picked it up on YouTube or something, but, like, hey, he's standing there just kinda taking it all in, like, he knew. Like,
Oh,
he knew. He was standing there after the game looking around, waiting for his team to come off the field, and he just had this look on his eyes like, "I'm gonna get fired.
yeah.
I'm done." You don't ever see
Well,
that.
there's it's an interesting thing, right? With sports because it is such you can have a bad day working and, unless you put an extra zero on a bank transaction or something like that, you go, "Hey, that wasn't a great day, but we'll take another shot at it tomorrow." When your buyouts, 50 or I think they're saying for the entire coaching staff, it's like $100 million to pay all these guys to go away, you know, that high of a leverage situation, you do have to be thinking early on in that game
Yeah,
when you're not like dominating one of the lower Power 5 teams in the country
yeah,
to go, "Oh, this feels like this is slipping away." Like, if I don't figure out a way to right this ship, this will probably be the end of it. And then for it to actually come to fruition has to be surreal
oh,
to stand in front of that many people. That's usually an awe-inspiring sort of situation. You looking out at a
yeah,
college football stadium that is just jam-packed with people. It's normally, "Hey, these people are all here to watch this team that I'm leading." And now you have all of these students just booing you and going, "Yeah, this is probably the last time that I'm coming out here
yeah,
in this position." It has to be a very singular experience
yeah.
compared to just about any other job.
I mean, we all screw up. I mean, I've been laid off before. You've been laid
Yeah,
off. I mean, it happens, but that's
yeah,
not quite the same. It's a little bit of wow. I tried. I failed. I lose in front of 100,000.
yeah,
And the wheels just the wheels didn't just go off his cart this year. They've struggled with the big game. It's been a thing, but I still think it would be crazy 8 weeks ago when he's having his pregame before the first game, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure he was like, well, we take it one game at a time, but in the back of his mind, he's going, we expect to be national championship contender. I mean, he
yeah,
expects that he's going to be leading this team until January. Nope,
yeah.
you
Like, I
didn't make
haven't
it
went
to
back and
Halloween,
looked,
buddy.
but, like, I'm sure that looking at, like, the Legends picks at the beginning of the year,
Oh yeah,
there were probably people that went like, "Yeah, I'll take Drew Aller, this team on the come up." Like, I probably took them to win the championship,
yeah,
and you get not even halfway through the season, and you're going, "Oh, like, our our quarterback is done for the year, and our coach is fired, and we're restarting the program, basically."
yeah.
And the crazy thing is the names they throw out there,
Oh yeah,
there's
Matt
no good
Rule.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go like, look, uh, Matt Rule seems to do a good job when he is the big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to restart, this. this setup. I'm going to get us rolling. But like he hasn't won the big game. And
No.
then they're like, well, what if we can get Signetti to leave Indiana? Like that psychopath is leaving Indiana. That
Right.
guy's ready to bite the head off of Purdue. Like, I mean, I guess if you throw enough cash at a person,
Yeah,
maybe you
everybody.
get them. But
Yeah.
like, you just go, oh, maybe we can talk Saban or Urban Meyer back off of and you're just like, you guys are just, and look, it's part of, when you listen to the guys that are talking in depth about college football, they're 6 of one, half dozen in the other. This thing they're going, no, he can't win the big game. You're a blue blood program. You need to move on and get the next guy. And you go, sure, I understand your argument, but you do need the other half of that plan.
Yeah.
Like you have
Absolutely.
to go, hey, are we going down to a smaller school? Do we have a coach in mind that
Right.
like, hey, this guy is the, James Madison or James Franklin? I mean, he came up from what, James Madison, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think that
That
was
sounds
I think
right,
that was
yeah.
what it was. So like maybe the AD is sitting there going, I got some ideas. Like not a flashy guy, but like a really dominant, good head coach that can recruit, and we're going to bring him out here. In my mind, that's who you got to take a flyer
Yeah.
on one of those. You can't go. I'm going to go. I mean, because for Sick Daddy specifically, they look like they're ready to make a run in the playoff,
Yeah.
which means you're going to sit around with no coach until January, just going, boy, I hope I can figure this out and that
And
we can back up a Brinks truck to this guy and maybe he buys in. And if not, we're on the back end of the coaching carousel. I don't know. That's a risky play.
yeah, that's a tough thing to do. I don't know if I could wait that long. But I
Yeah.
mean, they're gonna have to wait a little while at least because
Well, yeah, I
they
mean,
left
because
so early.
everybody's working right now. But
Well,
like, I don't know. Well, when they just start going, hey, here's who we want to, and then I start seeing, and who knows, it's the internet. You start seeing that Napier may be on the way out in Florida, and then they're they're looking at throwing a big old stack of cash at somebody too. So
James
now
Franklin.
you've got two blue bloods. Well, I mean, oh gosh, the, some of these guys are just masochists, I guess. If you went, hey, here's a $50 million buyout, I go, you would not see my ass on camera for years.
Years.
I'm going to wait until most people forget why I don't have a job. And
Right.
then I'll come back around. I don't need that smoke. Like especially if you got that kind of cash on hand.
Right. I
Like
100% agree.
you
I'd be
just
gone, long gone.
blend into the background and go, I'm going to go buy a property somewhere that's warm and I'm going to get one that somewhere's cold. And then I'm going to fly between them.
Yeah.
And that'll be the extent. But some of those guys will get right back into it if
They
somebody
just
will
can't
hire
stand
them.
it. It's ego. It's ego. They
Yeah.
just can't stand it.
Well, and there is a certain extent that if you do want to work again, then you should get right back to it
Right.
because you need to build it back up. But I think we've reached the level of income for these coaches and these buyouts
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
goes, you don't need to work again. Don't take an ESPN job or something. If you really need to like talk football,
Yeah.
like
Keep your buyout.
yeah,
Go talk
yeah,
football.
yeah.
Start a
I don't know.
podcast.
Sure. Yeah. We got lots of college football being talked all over the internet. Is Get on there and
Join in.
start talking shit about some of the guys you don't like.
Yeah. Join in. Join in the fun.
Yeah. So that's my big thought
Yeah.
for the week. The
Well,
upcoming week, it
well,
seems like we've got some fun games coming, but like
there's a big thought.
that was monumental.
There was a big thought. So I think we
Yeah.
can move on from college on that thought.
Okay.
There's some big games. We could really hammer some of the big games. Bama took out Mizzou, but now they're going to Tennessee. The SEC's dancing around. There's a lot of good stuff going on. Vandy's on a roll. Indiana's on a roll. There's some good stuff, but I think until we get the college football playoff, maybe we hold some of our favorite takes until then.
Sure.
But we do have some takes to start off with, and to take a look at as we get into pro football. I'd like to give you our maybe our three favorite games this week. Um, we actually are looking at 6 or 7 that we like, but our first one, Brandon, we've got here is New England and Tennessee. Um, there's a lot happening in this game, right? With uh, coaching getting fired, very very well coming back to town after being removed. You've got a number one draft pick versus a number one draft pick. One looks really good. The other looks like he's got a howitzer that's shooting missiles through a building and can't control it. There's injuries, people hurt, but when it's all said and done, they got to go play the game on Sunday. Who you got?
I I gotta go with New England. This, I didn't really think about it until we stacked it in this order, but this is that reason why when some team runs you off, you go get back in the pool
Yeah,
so that you can build your team up and go kick their teeth in
yeah,
a couple of years later and go, look, this isn't new news. The fact that Tennessee let him go over a general manager who was not good at his job
yeah,
is, regardless of this being a professional sport, it's corporate malpractice. The guy that owns the team, or the I don't know if it's a guy or a girl that owns the team. I can't remember right this second. But to go, hey, I have a coach that might not be reaching the heights that we want,
yeah,
but we definitely have a GM that is not reaching the heights that we want.
yeah.
The GM wants to fire the coach because he's undermining him. I'm going to let him do that is management malpractice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so to then go back to your team that you played for and, build them up and then bring them back
In short
to,
order.
yes, to Tennessee and then go, okay, so how are you guys doing? Oh, you have a new GM because that GM didn't work and you did fire him. And now you got a new one. And then you got this coach and he didn't work. So you fired him last week.
Here, I'm
You
gonna beat
know,
the brakes off you.
yes, just from a spiritual standpoint, I hope that they, win by 25.
Yeah.
Like it just like the world is
You want the
not.
cleansing. The
Yeah,
cleansing.
regardless of the fact that, when I look at some numbers, I think that New England is still not being respected in the point spread accurately. And thus, you know, for the super contest line, for Ben Harper, we're all locked in at 6.5.
Yeah.
And now it's up to 7, and it probably will keep
It'll
climbing.
keep going.
And like the math will be great. But just for a guy that doesn't have a dog in the fight between those two teams, I want to sit down Sunday morning and watch Tennessee get mollywopped. Because I think they deserve it. So yes, I'm 100% in on that being a top pick this week because it just seems too straightforward.
Well, speaking of mollywopped, we got another one that probably gonna happen. And this is gonna be maybe against conventional favoritism, but I'm looking at this Detroit Tampa game and seeing that the number that we have on the page to play is 5.5. And this is taking a team like Detroit, who just got handled by Kansas City. And Detroit has done nothing but just whoop people all year. And then there's controversy after the game. There's guys not shaking hands, and then they're coming out later and they're blaming Mahomes, saying Mahomes flexed on him. Would you shake his hand? And I mean, to be fair, if somebody flexed on me, I probably wouldn't shake their hand after the game either.
Probably
But then
not.
Juju comes over, and I mean, everything gets crooked. We got a guy suspended, and you know, then what you've got though is Dan Campbell. And so Dan Campbell is emotional, as we all know, positive and negatively. So he's been telling people this is my fault. If you listen to his pressers, I'll get this squared away. I'll get this straight. He takes onus. I promise you that Tampa Bay, whose wide receiver core is the Golden Girls right now, is going to get absolutely lit up by Detroit. And Baker's going to do everything he can to keep this close. And most of us are going to be sitting here in the third quarter going, holy shit, how's this thing holding together? But
Yeah.
Detroit will take over because when Dan Campbell loses a game, they get back to defense and they get back to running the football. And then that works well for Golf's play action. They're inside, they're in the dome. It's going to be a track meet. And Detroit takes this thing down 28, 24, maybe 31, 24. Um, I think Detroit's going to roll on this one. 31-24 is probably the right number. It's just enough. But man, I just do not see Tampa being able to hang in there. Their receiving core is depleted. Though I did hear Mike Evans might try to come back this week. I just don't know if that's enough.
Yeah. I I am I'm with you on the Detroit side of it. The number is always worrisome when you get up in that Vegas zone range. Um, and for me, it's really just can can Baker just keep pulling a rabbit out of his hat against the elite teams? You know, I was on Tampa in Seattle. They figured it out. They got by there. Is Seattle elite? Nah, I don't know, but they're good. They're consistent. They do their job. They don't make mistakes. So I think that was a good win. But I just I think that it's better to try to get off a week early than a week late. And I don't think that Tampa's going to stumble and fall apart,
No.
but I don't think they can just continue to win every game or you know even cover. I the 5.5. I tend to agree with you that there's something weird about Dan Campbell that to I don't know if it's just because he's a little bit younger than some of the coaches or that he's just the size of a Volvo. But when he comes out after the game and just, you know, unequivocally just goes, um, I don't know, but that won't be happening. I don't know exactly everything that went into one of my players head slapping some dude after the final whistle, but it will get handled and
Yeah.
it will not be tolerated. And you go okay,
I
that
believe him.
it seems like you're very serious. And the fact that his entire team seems at every turn to be right there behind him.
Yeah.
That this seems like the right spot to go home and reload and have a team that has given you fits in the past, and they've had a lot of these matchups. I think they've played in the playoffs twice
Hmm.
recently, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Last
Two of the
2 years, I
years,
think. Yeah.
once they started once Detroit started making it to the playoffs.
I think they're
Um,
1-1 against him.
yeah, and I so this may just be kind of a feel thing, but it does. does seem to make sense that this is the right time to get back on the Detroit side of it and to bet on, Tampa having a flat spot with just more injuries stacking up for them.
And we're gonna share with Sandman Nation, one of our favorite pieces of this is that if you go back historically and look since Dan Campbell's been
Mm.
there, and we went back to 2023. We didn't go back further, just to 2023, which means all of 25, all of 24, all of 23. The Lions have not lost back-to-back games, and they have. I didn't check the cover of every single one of them, but they've won at least
But
by
with
5
margin.
to
Yeah,
7
like
to 10 points
yeah.
every game. So they have not lost back-to-back games in 2 years. I could consider that the Dan Campbell effect. So listen, I'm going to take my chances and I'm going to say that I have better odds at 5.5 of covering that line with Dan Campbell and his emotional Lions than I do with Baker and the Golden Girls um, trying to get this thing done. That's just how it feels. Oh, and by the way, it's not just his receiving core that's out. He also doesn't have Bucky Irving. So, I mean, they're beat
Right.
up to hell. I mean, it's
Yes.
terrible. And I hate it
Yeah.
because, man, they are so fun to watch. It's like, stay healthy, guys, for God's sake. You guys could be the best team in the league. You
Yeah.
just can't stay healthy.
No, and I think, Godwin's making his way back. Buka doesn't seem like it's a long-term issue. Evans is right. Like, I think that, uh, realistically, one of the things that everybody can look at here is, going into next week, they get a little beat up here. Maybe Detroit puts it on them. It screws with the line next week. And next week, you got Tampa going down to New Orleans. Right now, they're minus 5.5. Next week, you start to look at it and go, hey, if that shrinks a little bit because they don't play perfectly this week
Yeah.
and they get blown out, you can
Overreact.
start looking for rotating back the other direction, getting back on the Tampa train,
Yeah.
hoping that a couple more guys get healthy and they go down there and they handle New Orleans and you get some margin down there and you kind of get it coming and going with two picks back to back.
That's perfect. No, that's a
Yeah.
great way to look at it. And that's how, if anybody pays attention to us, we try to give you tips and tricks on what you're doing, right? Do your
Yeah.
homework, understand the trends. But Brandon just pointed out a great one, right? Don't forget the look ahead and understand how this is going to be reactionary. And if you gamble outside of Sandman and you can get a line on a Sunday or something, pay attention to it.
True. You're in one of
Okay.
those sorts of states.
Last yeah, we're getting there, December 1st.
Yeah. We're getting
Uh
close.
we're getting close. Atlanta and San Francisco.
I
This
love this.
actually interested both of us. I'll let you kick off here and give your 2 cents to start.
Yeah. I start with a straight math play, right? This got locked in for the super contest and guillotine and Ben Harper at plus 3.5. It's since been bet all the way down to 2. And, reasonably, if we get to the weekend and hey, everybody's getting healthy for San Fran, maybe it's a thing to think about. But the way that Atlanta ran the ball on Buffalo Monday night, San Francisco just lost the heart and soul of their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they figure out a way to plug the hole, slow this down a little bit. But Jean looks like he is ready to rock and roll. And this seems like a very straightforward underdog to go. Let me grab the hook and sit back and dare Mac Jones or uh, half of Brock Purdy to figure out a way to win by 4.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you on this. I love the money play through the number. That's the big piece for me. I don't I've had trouble trusting both these teams this year. I don't have a great read on them, and mostly I don't have a great read on the Niners because they're not healthy either.
Yeah.
They're like the Bucks. They can't get healthy, but they keep playing good football, which means they've got some core components, right? And but the 49ers, it's always been Shanahan, it's always been Saleh, it's always been the offensive line. They could be getting Kittle back, I heard, so that's a
Yeah.
boost. That would definitely help Mac have another target to go to.
Yeah.
Um, you know, these teams and these injuries, though, it's just becoming more. It's so hard, especially when you're trying to handicap a game to understand the depth behind them because we have jobs, right? We're normal Joes, Sandman
Yeah.
Sports. We're out doing things. I don't get all day to sit and look at the fantasy football stats of the backup lineman who's covering Trent Williams. So make sure that you're doing your homework and understand who's playing, but also know that when a star like Warner's out, that's impacting.
Yeah. Yeah. They partially survived Bosa going
Yeah.
out. They won some games. And look, I was the guy that at the beginning of the season, I was I'm on San Fran to win the West,
Yeah.
right? It looks like it's going to be a hard path now with
Mhm.
Seattle playing considerably better than most people were projecting, and the Rams. It's questionable how Puka being out is going to impact them and whether they can next man up that. Um, but I still think that when we get to the end of the year, San Fran can be in the running because, of their light schedule. But this one here, I this just seems like one of those slam dunk spots for Atlanta to just keep it rolling with the run game and not having to get Penix too involved and having him whip the ball all over the place. Do it with play action, get big windows for your receivers, take advantage of the fact that San Fran's defense is down several people. And look, the glorious part of taking your underdog is you don't even have to win. You
Yep.
just you just need them to keep it close.
Yep. For sure. So those are our three main picks. Just a couple others to keep an eye on. Especially along the dog side is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's definitely a potential dog play. It is a Thursday night, so I don't know if you guys will see this in time. Hopefully you're waiting for us, on bated breath to release our videos. But
Yeah.
if you're not, you maybe should because I think Cincinnati could be a great play this week. With Flacco having a little bit more time under his belt, and I'm a big believer in these division rivalries being anything larger than a three spread. You really have to take a close look at it, especially if they've played reasonably close or even in recent weeks. It's important. And the last one to take a look at is Jacksonville. Traveling across the big pond, it's kind of like their second home. They're catching points,
Yeah.
and the Rams have to take double that trip, right? They've got to fly all the way across the country and then all the way across the pond. So it's not just about flights. They lost Puka. So there's some things there to keep an eye on as well if you're looking for some dogs.
Absolutely. I love both of those. The Jacksonville one, especially. That's, you know, I'm going to get suckered into that. I know for sure that that's going to be one of those ones that Sunday morning I'm sitting there going, well, I drink a cup of coffee. Why don't I take a nice high, confidence pick on Jacksonville? And then I'm sure Stafford will be torturing me all morning. But I, I think that that's just, it's too many points for the team that is consistently going over there every year and is finally, starting to round into a little bit more form. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like the
Yeah.
defense is doing what they need to do. And again, you don't like when you pull Puka out of that lineup, Stafford's gonna find his guys to hit, but I
You,
don't
you,
think that there's another guy to step into that role and be his security blanket when he has to have a catch.
yeah. I've watched the Rams a lot, and he's trying to do that a little bit with Adams, and they just are
Yeah.
not in sync yet. They're not in sync yet.
No, I think they'll figure it
I wouldn't
out.
be surprised if they don't use Higby more. Um,
I
I've seen him go to him a few times.
Yes, I'm sure that from a fantasy perspective, that will probably be um, one of those ones that guys are looking towards because that's the perfect guy to have in there and go. I need somebody who can sit down in a zone and be sure-handed, and Higby can play a part of that role at least.
Well, that'd be great. I mean, I would love to share my wealth with you guys, Brandon, since I got chopped in the guillotine league this week.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
I got bounced 2 weeks ago. You got
Okay.
reverse jinxed, is what you did.
Yeah.
My brother does this every week. The week that I got bounced, he texted me all day Monday about how he was going to get chopped, and then last Monday, 2 days ago, he texted me all day about how he was going to get chopped again. Um, while he had like he always does this. He always underestimates what his guys can do. And then, unfortunately, I had to sit there and watch Swift save him from getting chopped and bounce me out of Survivor. So that was the fun, double, punch to the head that we took Monday night.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Swift did that to me too. So it was a lot of fun to watch Swift run wild. Because if Swift hadn't run wild, I actually had a small chance. Debo just needed to catch a touchdown.
Yeah, no, that's
No,
for
no,
sure.
no. Swift has to go bananas, and then it just puts it out of range.
It was a very odd night for fantasy. In one of my leagues, I needed like 36 points out of Bijan. He put up 36 and a half and like won me my league by like
That's
point
crap.
0.7 points. And then
Well,
and then my wife had the she had a tight end that didn't go Monday night. And we were sitting there and I go, well, maybe grab that tight end for Washington. Daniels is back, and Ertz catches that touchdown at the end of the game and puts her over to win her matchup.
it's one of those
And
days.
so yeah, those were two fun games from a fantasy perspective. If you were on the right side of the numbers, obviously.
Absolutely.
But at
Absolutely.
least it wasn't just a dud. So sometimes you get these Monday night games and just
Yeah.
nobody puts up any points, and you just go, oh, whoever was winning just continues on throughout the night. But we got some flip flops actually.
Well, it's good to know I can just blame Chad.
Look, you can always, whenever something goes wrong with picking things for football, you can always just assume that
Chad had
he's
something to
right
do
there
with it.
ready to troll
Oh, yeah.
about it.
There's some facts there coming out, man. Some facts. I bet he'd troll us for our top five.
Uh, you know, he is a big fan of the Lions. So I
I
think,
thought you were going to say of the St. Louis Syndicate Sports Podcast, but I guess
well,
the
look,
Lions.
he definitely listens. So I should probably we'll both probably get some comments later in the week
Yeah,
when this gets posted.
yeah. You
But
all are
for the top
idiots.
five, I think he's a big Bills guy also. He's a big Josh Allen guy. So he probably has a little more belief in them than we do currently
Yeah.
after um, you know, failing to be able to overcome Atlanta
Mm,
and dropping down here to the bottom of the top five.
yeah. And they actually could have fallen out of the top five, except everybody else is terrible too. This top
D- I-
five has been just a disaster to come up with, Brandon. Nobody's
No,
worth a crap in the top five.
look, I really look, we talked about it last week. I was reluctantly, you know, interested in laying some point or taking some points with Detroit in Arrowhead and really wanted to stand on the side of Kansas City. And I ended up personally taking Kansas City in some of our confidence pools. Um, and so, I feel like they're the only one that's back to being consistent week to week. Um,
And they're three and
with at
three.
least their play,
Yeah,
um, not necessarily the outcomes, but the process, the game plan. But we look at these five. You can look at the next five. All the way down to like an average team, and you go, hey, any of these guys seem to be capable of putting a beating on any other team any week.
yeah,
And you've really got to figure out these matchups. So, that's why we try to line out some of these for you guys, because you gotta find the small edges that you think are going to uh free you up to separate from whoever they're playing.
absolutely. Brandon, in an alternate reality, you could have other
Yeah.
teams that were in the top five, and they would probably be just as acceptable. Like, if we were in an
Sure.
alternate universe, I mean, it's very possible that the Colts and the Bucks and the Patriots and the Seahawks, and maybe even the Commanders in that chief role, now they have Daniels back, are a
Yeah.
top five. I mean, could you see this top five being the five of the NFL? I mean, that's taking out the Chiefs and the Lions and the Bills, but I mean, those teams have been sus at times.
Yeah.
Granted, these
Here's
teams
the
have been as well.
well, and the reality is if so much of trying to do these power rankings and the exercise that we're kind of working through behind the scenes to build power rankings all the way down the stack and put some numerical value to the separation between them is that if y- if you strip out priors, you can add any of these guys
Oh yeah.
to the top five.
Yeah.
The Commanders are right there on the edge because Daniels has been injured and they've been out. So they don't quite have a book of work from this year necessarily. But when you go, hey, we're going to take these five teams, we're going to randomly stack them against the five that we're putting in the top five, baking in priors and expectations and projections. Any one of these teams can beat those up. Like, and not any given Sunday ish could beat them. Like, legitimately could go into their house and hold them down and take the ball away from them.
Yeah.
And,
Yep, but could do
you
it this
know,
week to Detroit.
uh huh.
Even though
Yeah.
we've said, no, it's not going to happen. It could.
Yeah. No, we just think we have a little bit of edge with that number and that the spot and, the situation that both teams are in. But, it's part of, kind of looking at the way that all of these stack together and, getting a full sense of what really separates these, top 12 to 15 teams where you get down to teams that you really go like, all right, these are the teams that have major issues. But all of these guys at the top, you're to a certain extent, you're coming down to splitting very thin hairs.
Very thin hairs. And ultimately, it's kind of who's hot at the moment. And so, like you were saying, when we think about these the power rankings top to bottom, you have to kind of take into account the quarterback, the coach, the offensive line, those things we were laughing about earlier, not having a full-time job, to be able to focus on this stuff. That's the stuff that is the hairs you're talking about. You know, get beyond just who's their quarterback and who's their coach. What is the next layer? You know, even if you know who their receivers and their linebackers and their edge is, and if they have a good tackle. You still need to go one more layer. And then that's what's going to make the difference between the hook catching and not catching the hook. But I digress.
Yeah, great point.
Okay, so we are on to your favorite part of the program, my favorite part of the program, and our viewers' favorite part of the program, the survivor picks. Here we are, Brandon, taking a look at Survivor. 24-6 is our record on the season. That's obviously our top play, safe plays, and risk reward plays. Coming out of the gate, we try to give you what it looks like and determine who is going to be your best picks. Brandon, our top play this week is Kansas City. What do you think about that play to start with?
They are by far the largest spread that we have on the table. Um, you're taking a reasonable amount of risk with every other team at this point. Even with it being in division, even with it being the Raiders that they have stumbled against a couple of times, we're still looking at double digit spreads. And, unless you are playing in the type of survivor pool that has double weeks at Thanksgiving and Christmas, um, this is probably the spot to protect yourself and play the Chiefs and not worry yourself about all the rest of the stuff that we're about to talk about that is getting way closer to splitting hairs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definite top play. Safe play. This feels like a safe play. There could be some things that sneak up, but if you guys recall earlier, we talked about, and I say earlier, meaning earlier in our broadcasting season, we always talked about the team that played New Orleans. Well, we switched that over as New Orleans got better to the team that's playing Tennessee. And Tennessee has got the Patriots this week. And this is chock full of storylines. Brandon touched on it a little bit earlier when we talked about our New England play. We're not going to beat that to death because you guys can listen to our assessment of that game probably back on your radios at the 22-minute mark. I'm making that up, but
About right
it's
there.
a good guess. For the safe play, we like Vrabel and team coming to town to take care of business. They've got a good. They're the second best spread on the table, and Tennessee's just hasn't proven to be very good yet. And until they do, they are the safe play. I could argue that Kansas City's actually a safer play, but the division rival that you pointed out earlier, I would agree that it's probably not the move. Even though the Patriots are on the road, it seems to be the safest play.
I think so.
So this next one's kind of interesting. We always talk about risk reward plays as, hey, is this who we should pick? Maybe, but it might be the only spot to take them. And this week we've got the
The
Chicago Bears.
Bears.
What are your thoughts here, Brandon, on the Chicago Bears?
Man, I want to just be indignant about it, right? Because they ruined my season 2 days ago. Um, and I want to just go, look, let's look like the priors, and they can't, you know, grow this quickly to be a consistent team. But the way that they played outdoors in the rain, on the road, on a Monday night, and Caleb was making consistent throws. He was hitting his windows. Um, it it drives me to fight against, my knee jerk reaction to go, that was just lucky. And, to a certain extent, it was like a guy dropped a snap in the rain on his own field. Um,
For those of you that don't know this what you're feeling out of Brandon right now is survivor elimination.
yeah,
The
it's
week
me being
before I was
indignant.
eliminated, now Brandon joins that pack of the
Uh huh.
eliminated in Survivor. The St. Louis Syndicate, as Brandon eloquently noted earlier, sponsors Survivor
Yes,
for Sandman
but
Nation,
we no
and
longer
we are
play in it though.
both eliminated. Now, for
Yeah,
your edification, we do have survivor pools that we're in that we're still alive in.
yeah,
So we're going to continue to make our picks. But, this whole grumbling about the Bears thing is tied to his departure last week.
yeah. Because I was fairly sure, even after, if we remember back to last week, I went like, "Hey, McLaurin doesn't play. I'm kind of reserving the right to change this pick." And then I sat there and I listened to a bunch of experts talk about it, and I stared at it, and I didn't really want to go Green Bay, and so I just shoved with Washington, and that was a dire mistake that I realized bef- by the time I turned the game. By the time I realized the game started, it was already 3-0, and I was like, "That's not super pleasant." So yeah. So I think that this Chicago team getting to go back home, having New Orleans come outdoors. Um, New Orleans is feisty, but um, they still have giant holes in their roster and their game plans. And if we're going to believe that the last 2 weeks for Chicago wasn't just a flash in the pan, this seems like a clear spot to use a team that most people came into the season thinking wasn't going to be on the table to get used.
Yeah,
So, especially if you have multiple entries, um, this is a good spot to gain yourself a little bit of value.
absolutely. It's actually great value. You're probably not going to pick them anywhere else.
Yeah.
So if you can sneak through, it's a good one. So, Brandon, looking at all three of these and trying to judge what our next move is, I think what you're going to get is our plays, which is all three. Now, we're going with all three because we're kind of reserving the right here to look later in the week and determine which of these three is going to be our play. Once again, you can't really fact check us, but we're going to be honest with our friends out here following the St. Louis Syndicate to see who we picked. But we're basically committing we're going to pick one of these three teams. I'm leaning towards Kansas City right now. My lean says survive and advance. Uh, I'd like the Patriots. That's probably my second favorite choice, but the lean is Kansas City at the moment. Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to let it rip with Chicago. Um, I think that New England is still on the way up.
Yeah,
So I'd like to hold on to them for a better situation down the line.
yeah.
And it's the way that I I don't like taking the biggest favorite. It's probably me just another piece of being indignant about this whole structure to a pool. But I I would be I would be more upset if I had taken Green Bay last week and they would have lost than taking a shot at Washington and them losing. So
Yeah.
that this kind of plays into that same line. So I'm probably going to be on Chicago.
Hey, but you could pick any of the three, and
Yeah.
I love the logic, and I'm going to continue to watch Chicago. Um, they're going to be difficult for me because I would be rooting for a middle because I am going to play New England, or excuse me, not New England, New Orleans, in a lot of our pools, taking those points. So
Yeah.
it's a tough route to be like, all right, let's go Chicago. I got to cover. I got to win. I got to win. Wait, don't win that big. Don't win quite so big. Wait, hold on. Where's
Yeah.
New Orleans? New Orleans,
Yeah,
wait a
that
minute. Don't get
is
so close. Don't get so close.
yeah, I did that several times this year. And, that wasn't what ended up biting me in the ass.
Good.
Um, I was on Washington. I was laying the points. I was pretty happy about it. And we almost got there. That's the funny
Almost.
thing is they don't fumble that ball. They get a little bit farther. Maybe they kick the field goal. They win by 5. They cover the points too. So
Mm,
that was cool. That was an awesome way to
almost.
finish Monday night, which was one of my most successful weeks in years.
In
So
in in everything except Ben Harper.
yeah, Ben Harper. Uh, I got trucked. Luckily, I did not shoot craps. I get to start my comeback, but I did lose about $650,000 in Ben Harper this last week. So we already restarted. Actually, I took a little 5-teamer on some action Tuesday night. So that did not work out for me, but that was fun. First Tuesday night games of the uh of the season. I figured we had a little bit of line movement, so why don't we fire away? Um, so yeah,
49
I'm
straight
coming for
days of
everybody on
football.
Saturday. Yeah,
49
yeah,
straight
nothing
days
like
of
getting to watch some football on a Tuesday.
yeah. That just makes us guys out there, just our wives that want to watch shows, we just get in that much more trouble.
That's what an
Oh, hon, we'll
iPad's
watch
for.
it when football season's over.
No, I just YouTube TV. You get the 4 box going on an iPad.
Yeah.
I had 3 football games and a baseball game going.
I know. Speaking of baseball games, man, I hope shout out to Bill out there in his Mariners. They started off hot, and as I'm watching it right now, the Blue Jays just drubbed them.
Yeah, it probably softens the blow a little bit that they're already up 2-0.
Yeah,
So that probably, look, if you're gonna give up 13 runs, you might as well do it all in one game.
right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
good
Why
luck
not?
to them. I'm pulling for him. I want to see his Mariners win the World Series this year. So shout out to Sandman and the whole family.
Yep.
Um, they are hopefully here in a couple of weeks going to get to celebrate the first World Series.
There's nothing like it.
No, no. I still vividly remember the first time they won while I was alive. So
Yeah.
there's
It's
nothing like winning a World Series in baseball.
no, nothing like it. It's the best. And I don't know why, but it just is. Because I've
Yeah,
had Super
it's
Bowls and I've had World Series and I've had national championships for my teams, and the World Series is just something else.
it's the amount of time I think,
Yeah. The grind.
to spend every night, rooting for a team for an entire summer. And then, especially, um, the way that we won one of our two more recently with, with comebacks
Oh
and,
man.
you know, extra innings and, all of that. And, that's baseball just, you can't, football can't do that all in one night, what you
Nope.
do over a week's worth of a
Yeah.
matchup with another team.
The the
So,
ups and the downs and the we win one, we lose
yeah.
one. Oh, this one's going extras. Oh my, I'm out of pitchers. Oh, we're on our last gasp. Oh, we're back in it. It's just what I say. It's easy to be romantic about baseball. So good luck to Bill up in Sandman Nation up on the north side. Hopefully, you guys
Yeah.
get a chance to experience that. All right, that's it for us. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're the St. Louis Syndicate, um, with several World Series championships to our belt. Just saying, us and the Yankees, and then I don't know who else. So it's definitely not the Cubs. So Anyway, you guys, good luck with your picks this week.
Cheers.